Hi, this is Joe with the Healing Tree, and we offer natural wellness products for everyday living. And I have today a guest who I'm very excited about. Her name is Jillian Orth. She's a registered nurse and certified nutrition coach who's passionate about health, nutrition, and wellness. Now, Jillian started her wellness journey as an RN working in oncology, where she developed a passion for preventive medicine. And she's worked with patients of all ages, from pediatric well child care to women's health to patients with cancer. Having seen the effects of one's lifestyle on health outcomes, Jillian decided to shift gears to become a health coach and pursue her Family Nurse Practitioner degree to help others create a life of wellness free from chronic disease. So Jillian, welcome.
Hi, I'm glad to be here. Thank you so much.
Now, I know you're all about food, nutrition, and against dieting. Can you share a little bit about your journey and how you came about to becoming a health coach?
Yes, so as you mentioned, I'm also a nurse and I still work as a nurse in our local clinic. But what I was seeing in patient care, our healthcare system, it's kind of frantic. We're rushed in and out. Doctors, nurses, we don't get to spend a lot of time with patients. So you see a lot of patients, they're lacking education on lifestyle, on their medications, and a lot of different things. And I was seeing a lot of chronic health issues that really could be, helped significantly with lifestyle changes, diet modifications, that kind of thing. So I really wanted to get into health coaching and specifically working with women. So I had also had some of my own health struggles, and I had done a lot of dieting in the past and restricting foods and that kind of thing. So I read a lot of books. I got a nutrition certification, started my nurse practitioner degree, and it led me to a place where I felt more comfortable with my food, more confident in my food choices, and I stopped moralizing food and stopped dieting for good, and got to a really great place in life. So I really want to help other women get there too.
What was happening with you in terms of like what kind of foods you were eating? Do you know why you were eating that way?
Well, I do actually have a food allergy to gluten, so I did a lot of experimenting there, but I kind of got down this rabbit hole. I was, trying to go dairy-free, gluten-free. I was trying to follow all these rules, and I was trying to do low carb. I tried a million different things. And what I found is I was so stressed out trying to follow all these rules. I was missing out on, social opportunities with friends, and it was affecting, my mental health as well. And I see this a lot. I see, a lot of women are trying to hold themselves to these standards that society sets that are so unrealistic, and they're trying these, I call them kind of crazy diets to get to this ideal that, is not realistic and not healthy. So when my mental health kind of started getting involved with this dieting, I knew that I needed to make a change. And so I guess that's kind of what led me to getting my nutrition certification too.
And how are you helping people? I know it's a lot to deal with mindset, but what exactly is your process in that?
So I have a couple different programs, and my new program is a 12 weeks. It's called 12 Weeks to Wellness. And what we work on in this course, I go over weekly lessons on basic nutrition. So my first week covers digestion, and my second week covers carbs, and we go through fats, all the vitamins, minerals, we cover fad diets, that kind of thing. So I think it's really important for people to have a basic understanding of nutrition and know why, varied foods and that kind of thing. I think it's really important to have that basic foundation. So we cover that. And then we also do weekly journaling and mindset activities. So for example, this week, my clients worked on daily affirmations, journaling, and kind of changing their perspective as they start this journey. So this week, the affirmations, one of them was, I deserve to show up for myself. So I ask them to say these affirmations daily, and there's different ones, and I include, different ones each week. Another one was, my weight does not define me. So that's just a little bit of kind of some mindset work. And an example of a journaling activity, I ask them to really dig deep and write down, how would your best friend describe you? And what they usually come to find is their best friend would never talk about their appearance, their weight, how they eat, anything like that. Your best friend describes your qualities and your true values. So that's just a little example of some mindset things. So we work on really shifting and looking at what are your morals, your values. Let's move away from judging our body and being so hard on ourselves. So does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah, I think because when you say mindset, it's a lot about self-talk and reprogramming
Mm-hmm.
someone's mind so they can prime themselves. Because I understand that when you don't feel good about yourself, you're not gonna treat yourself in the best way as possible. You're not gonna eat the best foods. So
Yes.
what have you found with your clients when you take them from where they're at to where they want to be? Because they're usually at different stages as well, right? So you kind of have to adjust and customize the approach.
Definitely. And I've done like some different kind of one-on-one, just singles coaching sessions and that kind of thing. And I've talked to, ladies of different age groups, and different age groups have different needs, I guess. So, like my mom, for example, she's in her 50s. So her generation was really like fat was bad. And now my generation, 20s, 30s, carbs are bad. So I really work with them on getting over those kind of mindset things. And you're right, I'm meeting everyone at a different spot. So those first couple weeks are really tough, getting over those kind of mindset blocks. But once we can kind of dig in and, they start journaling and they start looking a little bit deeper. And another activity I ask everyone to do is ask themselves each morning what they're grateful for. And one lady I've worked with a bit, she said, I can definitely see where this has changed my perspective during the day. And she said, I've been working really hard to either write down or at least ask myself in the mornings, what am I grateful for? And she's really noticed, your mind goes toward the, more positive things throughout your day when you start out by, taking care of yourself each morning and, just starting your day on a more positive note. So that's just another example of something we work on. And
I think that's great because I read a statistic that said 80% of our thoughts are negative, and that most of our thoughts are repetitive. So that means we're just constantly repeating negative thoughts to ourselves.
yes.
So is that like the fastest approach that you found in terms of the journaling and writing gratitude statements? And also, if somebody is stuck, how do you get them unstuck if they've never done something like that before?
So I guess to speak to the fastest way to get here, I'll be terribly honest, there is no fast way to shift your mindset, I guess, especially when it comes to, or I guess in my experience, I found it takes a lot of time, a lot of practice. And I tell my clients this at the beginning because it's really hard at the beginning to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So it just takes time. And my 12-week program, even I have an option to extend it after, but it takes at least, those 12 weeks of really doing some deep soul searching to kind of make that shift. So that's, I guess, in terms of time. And what was the second half of your question here? I'm having a blank.
How do you get them unstuck if they're not used to
yeah.
doing something like that?
Unstuck. So my program is partly like video lessons, and we do a lot of emailing and text check-ins. But my big thing is we do weekly phone calls where we go through their journaling and mindset together. So I have them do those activities in advance. And then when we talk about them in person, I can really help them kind of kind of go through their thoughts. And I use some motivational interviewing. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it's a lot of
I've never heard of
never heard of
motivational
that.
interviewing. What is that about?
Yeah, so it's a really cool thing. What I really try to do with my clients, I don't like to tell them what to do. I like to help them. You know, I give them a framework in my program, but their goals they set, that kind of thing, it's all up to them. So I ask them, you know, what are your goals? What's the bigger picture? We really dive deep in, you know, I say, why do you want to join my program? If they say, I want to lose weight, I said, okay, well, we need to go deeper. Why do you want to lose weight? Well, because I want to, you know, be able to ride my bike again. Well, why do you want to do that? Well, because I want to be, you know, healthy and not have to take medication. So we really get into that. And motivational interviewing, you kind of repeat their question. You ask them, you know, where they want to take things. It's something I learned in nursing school, and it's really helpful, but it really lets them self-direct where they want to go. And you ask them things like, well, what would be bad about not changing your behaviors, or what would be bad about changing your behaviors? You let them come to their own conclusions, and it's a really powerful way to help people realize where they want to make their own changes. And I can send you some more information on it too. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you go much deeper than usual, and which I think is great, because I've heard that when you just say lose weight, I mean, this is from someone else who was like a weight loss expert, and he would say, you don't want to say lose weight because you're in a negative state, like there's a void now that you want to fill it. So you do all this work to lose weight, but your mind and your body say, I've lost something, I want to get it back. Like when you lose your keys, what happens? You want to find them again. You lose your wallet, you want to find it again. So it's the same with weight, and weight is almost like your bones, muscle, tissue, and all that. So how do you help them reframe, you know, losing weight or dieting?
So I think a big part of how we kind of get away from that dieting is learning about nutrition. And I really want to like hit home on things. Like last week I was talking to my client about carbs, and she really has this mind block that carbs are bad, which I totally get. It's the kind of the generation she grew up in. But after we talked about it some more, and I was like, okay, I want you to go watch this lesson again. And when she got back to me, she's like, I really get what you're saying. She said, it is hard to get my mind past this though. She said, but I can see where, you know, there's fiber in carbs. There's, you know, all these other components that your body really needs. And when I talk about, you know, your brain needs carbs to survive, they start to, you know, connect that education with, wow, I really do need these things, and maybe they aren't so bad. So another thing I find is it takes a ton of exposure to information and ideas before, you know, things really start to click with people. So I just, you know, I take a really gentle approach, and I always start with asking them, you know, what's going well. We start our conversations, you know, what did you do well this week? What's working for you? And getting their mind on kind of a positive note, and then diving into those tough things like carbs are bad. And then so I don't know if that makes sense, but that education piece on nutrition is huge, and getting them past those mindset blocks too.
Okay, so it sounds like you educate them on diving deeper versus just hearing the phrase carbs are bad, or which can just, you know, lead
And
to all sorts of issues. So like actually learn about if they are and then why they are, so they can like understand for themselves, right? That's
yeah, learn about, you know, the components of carbohydrates. And I don't go terribly deep into anything, but I just touched on like a basic chemical structure and simple versus complex carbs. And so they can really understand the function in the body, and, you know, what the purpose of carbohydrates are. And, you know, humans have been eating carbs for hundreds of years. So just really getting into that. And a lot of times people start to, you know, a lot of times people don't know a lot about nutrition. All they know is, you know, the latest carbs are bad, you must go keto. And that's kind of what they know about carbs. And, you know, eat fruits, eat vegetables. they don't know the depths, I guess. And so just a little more basic information helps people a lot.
And you talk about something about intuitive eating. Can you get into that a little bit?
Yes. So as I told you, I have a 7-week-old baby, and prior to becoming pregnant, I had followed some more strict eating guidelines, that kind of thing. And I had this idea going into pregnancy that I was going to eat perfectly. I was getting all my veggies in every day. I was going to work out every day. Well, let me tell you, that is not a reality. And it was a huge eye opener when I couldn't eat like I had been. The sight of a vegetable made me want to throw up while I was pregnant. So I got into reading about intuitive eating. And what it really boils down to is tuning into your hunger cues and your cravings, and honoring those cravings, honoring your fullness, slowing down to eat. And if I wanted treats or candy or lots of fruit or whatnot, that's what I ate, and I started feeling so much better. Your body is such an incredible, we're so smart. Our bodies are so smart, and they know what they need. And when we kind of try to tune into those things, our body starts eating more intuitively. And I think when people hear the words intuitive eating, they just think that you're going to go, all you eat is donuts and chips or something like that. And it may start out that you eat some more of those foods, and I don't like to say bad foods, but just maybe less, foods that have less nutritional value. But eventually your body knows that those foods are available, and you stop binging on them and you start craving other nutrients. So it's a really cool way to, it's another one of those things that takes time, and we work on that in my program as well. But really tuning into those cravings. And pregnancy is a great way. You just can't follow some rigid eating plan when you're pregnant. And so that's really when I kind of got into the intuitive eating. And it's awesome. And that's still what I'm doing now postpartum, and it works really well. So.
Well, with cravings, what do you tell people then? How, like, when they have that urge to have something that they know is not ideal for them?
I tell them to eat it. I tell them, so for me personally, I used to restrict my food, and then I would binge on it. So I wouldn't keep cookies in my house. I wouldn't keep sweets, anything. Because when I did, I would have, one little package of chocolate chips, and I would eat it all in one sitting. And I finally realized that I didn't have to do that. I didn't, I could just have a lot of chocolate chips. I could have chocolate every day if I wanted to. And I got to the point where my mind was like, okay, these are always available to me. I don't need to eat an overabundance. Now I keep snacks. I love to bake. I love fruit. I love gummy bears, that kind of stuff. And I keep those things available, and I know they're always available, and I know I don't have to binge on them, because if I want a little something, it's there and I can have it. And most of the time I would rather eat fruits or veggies or, more balanced meal. But if I do crave something, I have it. And that's one of the huge point of my program. And people struggle with that. They think that they can never eat sugar again, or they can never eat treats. And that is not true. And restricting yourself from those things ultimately leads to binging later. So I tell them, have a treat, have something every day if you want, until your body gets used to these things are available. I don't need to binge.
Well, do you go by any of the sugar guidelines from I forget what the organization is called, the American Heart Association?
I think the general guidelines are no more than 50 grams of refined or simple sugars a day, and I don't suggest eating hundreds and hundreds of grams of sugar a day. That you can definitely get into trouble when you're doing that. But what I like to focus on more with my clients when we get into the nutrition pieces is adding things into their diet, I guess you could call it. So rather than saying cut out sugar, cut out carbs, don't eat this, I focus on like, let's start with breakfast. What are you eating for breakfast? And say they're eating, all they have is like a caramel latte from Starbucks and a breakfast bagel. And I start out by like, how can we add some protein into this? So is there some way you can get, breakfast sandwich with an egg on it instead? So we start really small by adding things in rather than saying, no, you can't have this. And it works really well by, let's incorporate something new, some more protein, some better fats. And it keeps them out of that mindset that they're dieting. We just add more nutritious things in, and eventually the less nutritious things, generally fall out. So, and sugar included.
Well, I think that's a good approach because I hear a lot of people they're on the restrictive diet, and which is again creating that I guess negativity in your mind and that deficit. That it's like, you can't have, if I can't have this, then it's like, oh, it makes
That's
me
all
want it
you
more.
want.
And it's like, yeah. So, so going back to that phrase, like, instead of like, losing weight, I would tell people who, when they ask me like, Joe, how do you stay healthy? How do you stay fit? I say, I think in my head, it's like, just stay fit, healthy, and slim. That's what I think about, like moving towards something versus like going away from something,
Mm-hmm.
So how do you help people in terms of, you have something about like shakes, like you have a shake program. What is that about?
So, and I don't mean to say anything bad about anyone that's into the shake. And I mean, I'm all about like having smoothies and that kind of thing, but I've tried things like Thrive in the past. There's lots of programs where you replace 2 meals a day with a shake, and they're very popular. A lot of times people lose weight really fast. And the issue is, who can live off of protein shakes for the rest of their life? I don't think you can, personally. I could never do it. They never worked for me. And a lot of times you get off your shake program and you gain your weight right back. And a lot of times people gain more weight back. And I don't love those programs because it doesn't actually teach people about how to eat a balanced diet, how to prepare a balanced meal with proteins, fats, carbs, veggies. When you just say eat 2 shakes a day and then 1 meal a day, sure, it's easy, you can do it on the go, but it's not sustainable. A lot of times they're really expensive, which is hard too. I hate to see people investing in these expensive programs and then, gaining the weight back is generally what happens. I don't know if you've had any experience trying any of those programs or whatnot, but I have, and I've seen, I've had a lot of friends that have done it as well, and the results are generally the same. They don't work long term.
I've never been on a shake program like that before.
That's good.
I drink more. It's like protein shakes for going to the gym, working out, things like that.
Sure, yeah.
Because I have a high metabolism, so I need to add extra after my meal, after working out too. So, can you talk about like just good versus bad food? Is there like a general barometer that's a good guideline for people to follow if they don't want to get into your program?
Yeah, so I do talk about this a lot. I hate to put the terms good and bad on food. I hate to moralize food because that is such a diet culture kind of thing to moralize food. And I like to look at it as, foods that have more nutritional value and foods that have less nutritional value. Sometimes we want to eat those less nutritional foods, and that's okay. What I try to incorporate, I try to advocate for people to, set a goal if you can to try to eat 3 different colored veggies every day and 2 different colored fruits. Try to get some protein in with each meal, some fats and some carbs with each meal so you can keep your blood sugar balanced out. So really basic things like that. But yeah, like I said, I hate to say good and bad. There's of course higher quality foods, pasture raised meats, all that kind of stuff. It's very complex, and some clients I can get that far with, but most of my clients are starting at a pretty basic level. So more about like, let's try to incorporate more fruits, more veggies, more whole grains, more good sources of protein. I just keep that pretty basic, I guess I would say. And I try to get them away from being like, this is a bad food, I can't eat it. Because then your mind goes, I kind of want that. I kind of want that bad food. And I hate to have people say, I ate a bad food and now I feel guilty, because we shouldn't do that to ourselves either.
Okay, so it sounds like you advocate more of a variety in terms of what people are eating. So
Yes,
okay.
yes, a huge variety. And I always tell people, eat lots of different colors of things, because different colored veggies, fruits, they all have different nutrient profiles. And, I always share pictures of different bright colored foods and lots of various foods in my slides and that kind of thing to show, eat a lot of different foods. That's how you get a lot of different nutrients. And your body loves all those different nutrients.
Yeah, and going back to what you mentioned about sugar, like I'm always aware of the amount of sugar that I eat. I mean, I have a friend that just told me yesterday he's now type 2 diabetic. And I'm just like, and he found it this week.
Wow.
It's not shocking because I see what he eats. But I know that for me, for my cravings, I usually have something that's like under 20 grams. Like it's on the label. It's like a tea drink with like 16 grams. And I know my body can handle it because the threshold does go up to 50, like you said, But I'd love to know I'd love to know what you eat on in a 1 day basis. Let's say, what do you eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and what kind of snacks do you have in between?
Okay. So, gosh, I tell you, it's a little crazy with the baby. I don't eat as consistently now, but in the mornings, I like to, I guess I have kind of a routine in the morning, and my routine kind of sets how my day goes. So even with my baby, I do my best to wake up every morning and do my meditations in the morning, think about what I'm grateful for, that kind of thing. And then I like to start out my morning by drinking a lot of water. And I'm also breastfeeding, so my nutrition is a little different just because of that. But lots of water every morning. I love my coffee. I usually put a collagen supplement in my coffee, and sometimes a little creamer. Sometimes I just drink it plain. And then for breakfast, I'll have sometimes scrambled eggs. I like to eat toast. I love fruit. So usually I'll have like eggs and fruit for breakfast. That's kind of like a staple for me. And then in the mid-morning, I always have a snack I eat constantly throughout the day. Usually some kind of smoothie. I'll blend up fruit, spinach, coconut milk, chia seeds. I usually put some collagen powder. Brewer's yeast is great for lactation. So lots of different things like that. Flax seeds. I'll drink that. For lunch, it's kind of hit or miss whether I get lunch these days, but a lot of times leftover dinner. So say maybe like leftover taco meat and veggies from the night before and some fruit. I like to drink kombucha. I usually drink a little bit of that every day. Mid-afternoon snacks, I like my chocolate, so I usually eat like some dark chocolate every day. It also has a lot of iron in it, so it's really good for pregnant and postpartum moms. So chocolate, I love, like I said, gummy bears, so I keep those in the house. So that's a snack I'll have maybe once or twice a week. And then for dinners, gosh, I do eat gluten-free, and it's not because I'm against gluten items or anything like that, but I do get really sick when I eat them. So, gosh, the other night for dinner, I made a gluten-free pasta. It was shrimp scampi, and then like a coconut milk Alfredo with cauliflower rice noodles, and we had salad on the side. Sometimes evening snack, I'll eat ice cream or popcorn, those kind of things. But my biggest goal is trying to eat a lot, different fruits and vegetables every day, plenty of good carbs, and plenty of food right now. even if you're not breastfeeding, another thing I find with women is that we're often under eating. In our, a 1,200 calorie diet every day is not good for women's hormones, and your body's probably in starvation mode. So I do eat a lot, and people are sometimes kind of surprised by how much I eat, but you need that. And a lot of women are definitely under eating. So I don't know if that gives you a little bit of an idea of what I eat during the day, but.
So you eat a wide variety. I mean, that's definitely, true to what you said. Even ice cream at night. I mean, that's that's terrific.
Not every night, but sometimes, if I crave it, I just have a little bit and be done with it. I try to move every day. I think that's really important. And depending what I eat and how I'm moving during the day, there are some days I'll walk 3 or 4 miles and I notice I do crave a lot more carbs. So that's a big thing too, is if you're really active, you're doing a lot of running, high intensity things, even if you're, doing a lot of strength training, I mean, you need to really refuel your body, and that's going to determine, how much food you need each day. And I think sometimes people think they need to eat the same amount of food every day, but that's just not true. Depending on what you're doing, you're going to need more or less some days.
So you recommend snacking throughout the day then, is that right?
For some people, it works really well. I'm one of those people that if I don't eat every so often, I get kind of grumpy. My blood sugar gets kind of low. But like my husband, he makes it the whole day and he doesn't like to snack. If he snacks, he says he feels more hungry. So that's definitely individualized, but I don't think there's anything wrong with having snacks throughout the day.
Okay. That's interesting. Like snacks actually help me. So, but when I'm less active, then I cut out the snacks. So
Yeah.
actually during quarantine right now, I'm not snacking at all. So I don't need it.
Lots of time at home.
And what about, if some people they sit down to eat and it's almost like just a chore, right? And they're not really enjoying it, or they're just eating while they're watching TV, and their mind is somewhere else while they're just putting food into their body. Can you talk a little
Right.
bit about that?
So this is the first thing. This is one of the first things I talk about with my clients is you need to be present when you're eating. So my nutrition challenge for my clients this week was to sit down when you're eating, go sit down at the table or somewhere, turn off your TV, leave your phone, no reading the news or anything like that. Sit down with your spouse or your child or even just yourself, but sit down and some people, I've even had them set a timer for like 15 minutes and say, you need to space your meal out over this. But really slowing down and chewing your food really well, smelling your food, enjoying it. I used to be guilty of this. I would sit down and I worked on the floor as a nurse, so I'm like a pro at inhaling my food. But you really need to sit down and slow down because it helps your body digest your food much better too. And a lot of times you'll notice, wow, I'm starting to get full. And you can stop sooner. Whereas when you sit down and you're distracted, you just inhale your food. You don't even realize like, wow, I just got really full. You have to listen to your body too. So slowing down to eat your food, that's such a big thing, and taking away those distractions are huge.
Yeah, and in college, I used to eat so fast that I would like almost pass out. But luckily back then I learned like every time I take a bite, I would put down my utensil, finish chewing, swallow, and then pick it back up and then take a bite. So I do that now, and I take a halftime break in the middle of my meal. So once I've gone 50%, I'll just take a break and just sit there or just talk to whoever's there for 5
and
minutes.
see how you're feeling. I think that's a really good idea. Just, eat half of it. Am I getting full or do I need more? And there's no wrong answer there. If you're like, wow, I'm still really hungry, then keep eating, of course. But you may notice like, oh, I don't I don't think I need to finish all my meal. So that, I think that's really awesome that you take a little pause in there and see how you're feeling.
Yeah, because I learned that the food was still traveling down my body while I was eating. So it wasn't, I would still feel hungry while it was still going down. So I was like, if I take a break, it'll hit my stomach, and then I could determine how much more to eat. Um,
Yes.
but how do you help your clients keep up with their routine once they've started?
Um, so one thing I do, like I said, I give the option to extend, and I can do like monthly check-ins with them or that kind of thing. But while they're in my program, I provide them with a lot of support. We do a lot of texting back and forth. I check in with them throughout the week. But I really, really encourage them to continue journaling each week and writing down things they're grateful for. Because when you develop those habits, so I mean, I have them doing that for 12 weeks, and just them getting into those kind of like journaling habits and mindset habits, um, often those things continue. I started meditating probably 2 years ago, and at first it was really hard for me to get into that routine, but the more I did it, the more I realized how valuable it was. So once my clients see the value in practicing their mindset every day, and making little nutritional goals for themselves, whether this week it is to eat more different vegetables or try a couple new recipes. I just drive home in my program that's all about practice, and you never have to be perfect. You just have to show up for yourself and keep trying.
And you talk about body confidence. How do you help your clients with that issue?
That's another thing we work on with the mindset. So, like I mentioned earlier, when I ask them to describe things like, how would your best friend describe you? And how would you describe your best friend? And when they tell me, their best friend is so much fun and they love to go golfing together, and they, love to travel and they have so much fun, I said, you didn't say anything about their weight or their body or how they look. And they're like, well, of course, I mean, I don't care about any of those things. And I was like, so you need to remember that, what you really love about other people has nothing to do with their appearance, their weight, how they eat, anything like that. So yeah, each week we work on those things, and it's all kind of goes hand in hand with like the intuitive eating as well. A lot of that mindset stuff is body image things too. And another one of my mindset affirmations for this past week was, the way I speak to myself matters. And I have lots of these little affirmations. So I ask them to say that every day this week. I ask my clients, tell yourself in the morning, the way I speak to myself matters. So when they start, just thinking about how we're speaking to yourself, and on the phone, I ask them, I am asking you to never say like, I'm ugly, I hate how I look. I want you to shift that. And I say, you don't have to love everything about your body, but you should respect your body. And what can your body do for you? You need to respect it, but you don't, it's hard. None of us love everything about ourselves, but if we can learn to respect it and appreciate it, we can be in a lot better place.
Well, is body confidence the same as body positivity? I've heard of that term before. Are you familiar with that term?
Yeah, I would say they're, just being confident that, and I guess it kind of goes with being confident in who you are and letting go of those ideals that society sets in the magazines and those kind of things. And learning to speak to yourself in a positive way, saying, I'm strong and my body does all these wonderful things for me and I'm healthy, and the way I look doesn't define, the kind of person I am. So yeah, just becoming more confident in yourself by realizing that your body doesn't define you. It doesn't, your weight, you can't put a value on yourself because of your weight, I guess.
And what about, because I've heard that women, they tend to compare themselves with other women.
Mm-hmm.
And if they feel like they don't look like the other women that they see, either on, magazines, TV, or social media. I mean, it makes them depressed a little bit. So, I mean, how do you help them with that, or just that issue overall? What are your thoughts on that?
I would really encourage people, because social media is a huge place where we see, lots of these, they maybe follow models or fitness people or, that kind of thing. So I encourage people to unfollow accounts or people that make them feel like they need to be somebody else, because it's just not true. No one, you don't need to be someone else. You don't need to look like a fitness model. You don't have to have a six pack. Those things don't define your health. And so that's a big thing that I have them start out is, put down the fitness magazines with the, perfect photoshopped body on the front. That's not real life. So I think that's really helpful is, getting away from seeing that and being overwhelmed by social media accounts and things like that every day. I know that's something I definitely did when I was kind of on my journey to quit dieting, is I unfollowed those people that made me feel inferior, and I looked for accounts, people that were just really promoting healthy movement and varied nutrition and that kind of thing.
And waking up and feeling a certain way is I find really important to be in the right mindset.
Mhm.
I suffer from it as well. Sometimes I wake up and I don't have the best feeling, and I'll struggle to get up at 6 in the morning. Um, how do you help people just prime themselves so the moment they wake up, they're just like fired up, they're ready to go, and they feel good about themselves?
So I encourage people, especially we've all kind of been stuck at home, our routines and everything has been kind of haywire. Something that really helped me was when I wake up in the morning, I get up, I get myself ready, I wash my face, I brush my teeth, I do all the things that I would normally do when I'd go to work at my nursing job. So I, get ready, I get dressed. Um, and every morning, like I say, I meditate every morning and talk, think about all of the things that I'm grateful for. So my clients, one of their activities every morning is waking up, and before you look at your phone, before you get on social media, before you look at the scary news statistics that, what's been going on in our world, stop, take some deep breaths and ask yourself, what am I grateful for today? And just starting your day like that. And and let's be real here, not every day is perfect. We're going to have bad days. But I do think just taking some time for yourself and to take care of yourself in the morning, find things to be grateful for, and doing a little self-care routine in the morning is really important to start your day out on the right foot, at least for me anyway. And I think it's helpful for my clients too.
Now, can you share some of the results you've gotten with your clients?
Yeah, so as far as my 12-week program, it's really new, and I just started doing the nutrition lessons. But I have done more like one-on-one sessions. So one lady that I was working with, she just did like kind of some individual sessions, and she was struggling to get pregnant. And so I went through, and I have kind of like a fertility guide for people. And, I'm obviously not a doctor or anything. And these are just very basic, simple things that we can do. And so we talked about hormones, we talked about hormone health and things that she could do to support her body. And she ended up, about 2 months later, she ended up getting pregnant. So it was really exciting things. Like that. Another lady I talked to, she's a super busy mom. She's been working from home with 2 small kiddos during this. And so we also talked about hormone health. And so she was able to take this information into her doctor and ask a lot of great questions, get her hormone tested, and make a good plan. And I gave her some nutrition and lifestyle suggestions that she could take forward. So those are some of the the basic things I do. And my 12-week to wellness program will be a little bit different results, but it's more of a newer program. So I haven't had anyone finish that one yet.
And you also have a meal prep guide. That's a PDF, right? And so where can they
Yeah.
download that? And what does that entail?
So my little meal prep guide, when I worked full-time as a nurse, I just work part-time now. I would do my weekly meal prep and have it all ready so that it was really easy in the morning. I could just grab all my stuff, toss it in my cooler, and head to work. And like I said, I'm the person who needs a lot of snacks and stuff. So I just made up a little mini meal prep guide for lunches for one person. It just very basic, includes like a little shopping list and ideas on how to get good proteins, carbs, and then snack ideas for your lunches each day. So that one you can just download at my website. It'll say, when you go to my website, there's a little prompt on the home page, and you just put your email in and you can download that. It'll be sent to your email. But yeah, just a very basic guide that's really helpful on portion sizing and different ideas on things you can include for meal prepping, because that's one thing that helps me be successful, is prepping my meals when I have to go to work, because I do commute. So it's just nice to be prepared.
Okay, so it's a simple guide for people to follow along with.
Yeah, yep, just a mini meal prep.
And so where can they download it exactly? Can you go ahead and share your website?
Yep, that's my website is called holistichealthwithjillian.com. And if you just Google Holistic Health with Jillian, or even Jillian Orth, I think it should come up. But yeah, on that home page, it'll be right there. I also have my Instagram is Holistic Health with Jillian, and I share a lot of health tips there, things on dieting, like my smoothie recipes, fun pictures of my new baby, all kinds of things over there. So and I also have a Facebook group, my Holistic Health with Jillian Facebook group. So if anyone wants to join that, they can add me on Facebook. My name is just Jillian Orth there, and I can get anybody in that group. I share health tips there too, if you like Facebook more than Instagram.
I'm in the Facebook group. So, but that's great. So yeah, was there any last things you wanted to share for our customers?
Gosh, I guess there isn't too much more I want to share, but I just hope everyone's hanging in there and staying sane during this crazy time we have going on. I don't know about you, but I'm in Montana, and things are kind of opening up here again, and we've had a really low amount of cases, so it's really nice to kind of get back to our new normal, I guess. So I just hope everyone's hanging in there during this.
Yeah, well, stay safe, everyone. So Jillian, thank you so much for being on and sharing your wisdom, your insight, your tips regarding nutrition and food and mindset. So
yeah, thank you so much for having me. This is really fun to be able to share, and I really appreciate it. So thank you.
And we're going to have Jillian's website and social media handles in the description below as well. So, all right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.